make a move in the ring. You can hit me with the words you fling.
How's it going, everybody? It's the Post-Fight Podcast. I am your host, Nicholas Atkin. We're going to break down UFC Fight Island 3, Robert Whittaker against Darren Till. As usual, I'm joined by John Hyonko and Chris Edwards-Bailey. Guys, let's start with that main event. John, we'll go to you first. Robert Whittaker getting the decision, unanimous decision in the end, 48-47 on all three scorecards. But it was perhaps a bit closer than that. There are some people thinking Darren Till won. Where do you come down on this?
No, I feel like Robert Whittaker clearly won. It was close though. The first 4 rounds, some of those rounds could have been, either or, but that 5th round, I feel Robert Whittaker went in there and took the fight. It was just a technical battle. It was pretty awesome to watch, man. Like both guys were coming out. Whittaker, he gets dropped in the first round with the elbow, a clean elbow, beautiful by Darren Till. And then the second round, Darren Till gets knocked down. And those are pretty much clearly those guys' rounds. And then the third and the fourth, it could go back and forth, you know what I mean? And then you go into the 5th and Robert Whittaker wins that. So it was a fun fight to watch. It showed a lot about Robert Whittaker, him coming off that knockout loss, losing the title and going through a lot in his personal life, and comes out and performs pretty decently. I felt like he kind of was rusty in the first round, and that's why he got clipped and dropped. But after that, he was back in the groove. And he won that fight. And from what I heard is Darren Till got his knee blown out in the second round with a stomp to the knee by Robert Whittaker. And hey, man, that was a great shot to the knee. I'm not a person that will say that you should get rid of moves, because I feel like you should have more moves. Like, Robert Whittaker said after the post fight, he's like, hey, I want soccer kicks back, and I want soccer kicks back too. You know what I mean? So, you should have all the weapons, to use in a fight. And yeah, both guys, man. Darren Till's not done. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of people are going to talk about how Darren Till shouldn't have went up to middleweight and all that. Come on. Darren Till showed that he belongs in that top echelon of middleweight fighters in that fight against Robert Whittaker. Even with the knee all jacked up, he stood toe-to-toe with Robert Whittaker, and it was a great fight. Chris, what do you think? How do you grade Till's performance rather than Whittaker's?
Till's performance, I think, to lose a fight like that is a pretty good performance. From a losing perspective, it's probably an A. Probably overall, it's probably a C+, maybe a B-. He's done very, very well. All the judges gave him at least 2 rounds. He did really good against the former champ. Obviously, he suffered some issues with the injury to the leg. But I think apart from that, he had the fantastic fight, and he posed questions to Robert. And I actually think there's a lot you can learn from this fight, because I said it about Till before, and I'll say it again. I think he's so powerful and so fantastic and so explosive. But I get the feeling he hesitates a lot. He doesn't really pull that trigger sometimes. Because the thing is if you actually look at the strikes that were landed, Whittaker was constantly hitting Till, but Till was the one coming in and actually getting combinations. But then he wasn't getting another combination for a minute. He was trying to read them and find the opening for the combination, rather than occasionally, sometimes you do have to just throw some volume strikes just to make yourself look busy. Can make the fight more entertaining, but it can also sway the judges a little bit.
All right, well, Darren Till said he'd be open to a rematch with Robert Whittaker in New Zealand if they want to go and do it there. But John, what do you think's next for Robert Whittaker? He as usual, he wasn't going to call anyone out. He's far too friendly and respectful for that. But I think he made a good point saying, I proved I'm a championship fighter. That's my level. Do you go with that Israel Adesanya rematch, given how one-sided the first match was?
I would give it to Robert Whittaker. When he was the champ, he fought everybody. He fought the toughest fights, and it wasn't like he had the belt for one fight and then he lost it. He was a reigning champion, and like that last fight, he got knocked out, he got clipped, and he proved with this fight that he's still Robert Whittaker. And I feel like from merit, that Robert Whittaker should get that title shot. But the UFC, I don't feel like they're gonna go that direction. I think the UFC wants Israel Adesanya to fight someone else. Really, in my mind, I felt like if Till won this fight, they could have really gave Till that title shot. They could have just fast tracked him against Adesanya, and Adesanya has expressed himself that he wants to fight Till because stylistically that's a great matchup. There's going to be no wrestling. They're going to come in, but I feel like Adesanya would destroy Till. You know, if you look at Till, one thing I have against him and his striking style is he's just too upright all the time. And that leaves him open for a lot of counters and like looping strikes, you know, and that's how he's been hit a lot. And his hands are kind of low too. But yeah, but for Whittaker, he should get the title shot. I if I had the choice, I would give it to him. But most likely he's not. So I look at maybe Jared Cannonier. He's another guy that's up there in the top 5 that he hasn't fought. If he beats Cannonier, then you cannot deny him that title shot. Or, you know, if Adesanya is not going to fight, give him Costa. You know what I mean? Somebody in that top 5. I don't think he should fight anybody below number 5. It doesn't make any sense for him.
It looks like, yeah, we are going to have Paulo Costa against Israel Adesanya perhaps in September. But Chris, if you're Till, then do you now have to go and fight Jack Hermansson like Hermansson was calling for him after he beat Gustafsson?
Yeah, Hermansson though did say also he wanted really the winner ideally, and then you think about Till and the absolute warriors he's been against, Wonderboy, Woodley, Masvidal, Gastelum, and now Whittaker. So he's going to get thrown right in the deep end again. I would actually for Till, I actually think we might see Hermansson fight Whittaker. I won't be surprised if we see Till get Romero possibly.
Oh my God. That'll be a scary one. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's a bad idea. And I don't think that the UFC should give Till Romero, Hermansson. They need to give him someone he can beat. Like, he would go in there as the favorite to knock them out. He needs to give someone like that. That guy, he needs to get on a winning streak, man. He's been on this, like, win one, lose one, and it's not working out. You know what I mean? It's not building that confidence that he needs to go in there against those top 5 guys. I think that they should give him someone down the rankings. Like, it's hard to say. You know what I mean?
Like, how far?
Rankings, like a Uriah Hall would be a good matchup.
How far down the rankings do you go for? Do you look for Edmund Shabazian or Derek Brunson, or do you go further down and do you look for a Brad Tavares or a Marvin Vettori?
That's right. You're right. Marvin Vettori would be a great matchup. Brad Tavares. I would lean towards Marvin Vettori because Brad Tavares, I think he's on a lose streak. He's been out, you know, for a long time. He hasn't been consistent. And Marvin Vettori, he'll fight anybody. And and he needs that type of fight. And you know, Marvin Vettori, he'll come in and he'll promote that fight really well against Till. I don't see why Marvin Vettori is not online right now calling out Darren Till for his next fight, you know, because he's been calling out Jacare. I guess Jacare turned him down. Jacare and Till, that would be a decent fight too. Yeah. And who else? Anderson Silva turned down Marvin Vettori. So I don't see Till turning down anybody. So why not? Why not put him against Marvin Vettori? He's down there at like the 10 to 15 range. So that would be a good fight. Yeah, but Hermansson, I think that's too dangerous, you know, and Yoel Romero, God, you know. What can you say about that guy?
He's still only 27, Darren Till, so I'm sure we got plenty of fights to come.
For sure.
Yeah, we could talk about that fight all day, but we've got to get through the rest of this card. Let's go to the co-main event. The battle of the aging warriors, Mauricio Shogun Rua against Lil Nog. Split decision. Shogun takes the trilogy 3-0. Was it more competitive than that, though, John? I know it's 3-0, but I think you got to give Nog his credit here.
I
definitely give him credit.
Fantastic fight, a great fight, really entertaining. I mean, sometimes we do get these heavyweights, sometimes light heavyweight, where we get the old guys come out and fight each other, and you can tell they're so far behind it. While these are still very much athletes, they might be faded from their peak, but they're still high quality guys. It was a really fun fight. They both went out there looking to hurt each other. They tried submissions, add a little bit of everything, and it was a really nice way for Nog to sail off into the sunset. I mean, the thing is, he is 44, but he had a very, very competitive fight. He didn't really get humiliated. He still looked really, really good. And I think it was probably a nice sign-off and probably a nice 6-figure paycheck to help him out with retirement.
Yeah, let's bring up the scorecards here. John, what did you make of the fight? Yeah, sad to see Nog go as well.
Yes and no. It was bound to happen. You know what I mean? Shogun, we're going to see him probably end up retiring sooner than later. The fight, it was really close. I can't argue for Nog, and I really can't argue for Shogun. When the fight was over, I thought that they were going to give a split decision to Shogun just for some reason, just because whenever Shogun landed, it just seemed like he landed, harder than Nog did more often than not, and that's what I felt like the judges were judging it on, and they gave it to Shogun. I don't even know where Shogun goes from here. Give him another veteran. I don't know who they would give him. There's a lot of guys out there that would like to fight Shogun just to put his name on their resume, and I feel like that's what's going to happen next. Is they're going to put him against some up and coming contender, and they're going to use his name against him in some kind of co-main or main event. Shogun's still scrappy. He'll do it. I don't know what you do to them. If he doesn't fight anymore, like, I wouldn't be mad either. You know what I mean? Just like Nog, I'm not mad that he's retiring. What do you think, Chris? You think Shogun, does he still have it in the gas tank, or did he just prove that he's just as good as Nog, so maybe he could hang it up sometime?
Well, Shogun, he is a legend. He is the one of only 3 people to win a belt in Pride and in the UFC. He's the last one fighting. The other one to win titles in both was Big Nog, who retired 5 years ago. And this is what you have to look at. I think if Shogun is going to get anyone, and considering he was a champion over in Japan, I think they're going to get another guy to fight him who was a champion over in Japan. And you know who I mean? Yuri. I think they're going to give Yuri Shogun. Give him the name, build him up. Shogun's still ranked, I think, number 12 maybe. Why not?
Okay, well, let's get to the next fight. We had Fabricio Verdum welcomed Alexander the Mauler Gustafsson to the heavyweight division. It was a rude awakening for Alex, I think. He got just completely taken down first round, submitted to the armbar. He was outclassed, wasn't he, John?
Definitely outclassed. I picked Gustafsson to win this fight. I for some reason in my deluded mind, I felt that he was going to be able to keep the fight on the feet, and he was not able to keep it on the feet. And once he actually did get up one time, and then he started to run away. And Verdum, for some reason, he just had more speed than Gustafsson, and we didn't even know that would be possible. Chased him down, grabbed the back, and got the armbar. Yeah, it's just, I don't know. I don't know what to say about Gustafsson. He said that he wanted to stay at heavyweight. I don't even know. If you can't beat Verdum, I don't know if you want to stay at heavyweight. But it's, a lot of these fights, man, the last fight, this fight, I don't know what to say about these fights. They're just confusing to me, the performances that these fighters are having. Maybe you just have to put Shogun versus Gustafsson. Why not?
Yeah, Chris, do you think this is it for Gustafsson at heavyweight? Should he bother carrying on?
I think it's probably worth another round. I think heavyweight is actually far, far more competitive. You know what? I actually think Gustafsson's actually the better athlete than Verdum. He's got a much brighter ahead of him. Verdum's past his best. And my thing with Gustafsson actually is, I actually watched this fight again. I recorded them. And if you watch the fight again, I actually think when he gets out the first takedown attempt, it gives him a little bit too much confidence. I actually think it makes him think his own takedown defense is better than it is. And I think he got a little bit arrogant because the moment when Verdum got him down with 3 minutes, 50 seconds left, at that moment, when Verdum has that much time on the ground and he's that big and that strong, he's going to find a way to probably get you in a submission. So it is really hard. I mean, if you look through the rankings, there is a lot of potential really fun fights for Gustafsson there. Rosenstrike, Overeem, Walt Harris. There are a lot of really good ranked opponents out there. I just actually feel really sorry for him as a person because all the hardship he's been through, the Anthony Smith loss, him retiring, him coming back, and the fact that he has probably for about 4-year period was the second best person in his division, either behind DC or John Jones, and he just couldn't get that gold.
Yeah, well, he posted on Twitter, "It sucks to lose, but I'm alive and healthy. It's a sport that I love. Thanks for doing for a great fight and the UFC for the opportunity." And then he threw all the props to his boy, Hamzat Himayev, who we're going to get to later. Yeah, let's not jump the gun on him. But yeah, Alex Gustafsson, John, what do you think? Is there any other way that fight would have gone? Could it have stayed standing?
Oh yeah, it would have been a totally different fight if it kept standing, but it didn't, and we can't go back in history and fix it. So you just got to move on and going off, let's talk about the winner a little bit, Verdum.
Yeah,
he looked really good. You know what I mean? He took him down.
Victory in his career. Yeah.
Yeah, and also it was his last fight on his UFC contract too, and it seems like he's not going to re-sign with the UFC unless they're going to give him a lot of money. And I'm glad. I'm kind of happy for that. You know why? Because if he does go over to Bellator, there's so many good fights over there. Like there's the rematch with Fedor everybody's talking about that could happen, and I want to see it happen because Fedor only has, I think, 2 or 3 fights left on that Bellator World Tour thing, and why not one of those fights be Verdum, a rematch, try to get revenge, and it'll be fun to watch. And Verdum has so many fights over there against like Mitrione and there's a lot of heavyweights over there that he could match up with well. I don't see him coming back to the UFC. Do you see Verdum re-signing with the UFC, Chris?
Absolutely no way. I actually think we'll see Verdum either go over to most likely Bellator, if not that, probably one. And I think he'll go for the money and probably to get outside the USADA testing pool.
Yeah. We do not cast aspersions here on the Post-Fight Podcast. No. Yeah, let's carry on then. We've got Carla Esparza against Marina Rodriguez. Split decision. The Cookie Monster gets the win. Chris, is she back in title contention in that strawweight division, which is getting really packed, isn't it?
No, actually, I don't think so. I think she did well. I don't think she's anywhere near title contention after this win. I thought it was a really scrappy win. And I actually think the interesting thing is the first and the third round, you could have given either way. But the second round was definitely Marina Rodriguez's. And I did feel it was a really, really tight fight and could have gone either way. I thought Rodriguez was probably going to win it.
John, where did you land? Could you argue for Marina Rodriguez? I think this was her first loss in UFC, if that's correct. Carla Esparza seems to enjoy handing those L's out, doesn't she, to those undefeated fighters?
Yeah, Rodriguez, she has a very odd record for the UFC. She has 2 wins, 2 draws, and a loss now. Rodriguez, she fought well, but she just couldn't get off her back. And we talked about this before in the previous show about Esparza's wrestling and how, I said that Rodriguez was probably not going to be able to handle it. And for the most part, she couldn't get off her back. She did, do a lot of damage off her back, which was very interesting. Like you saw Esparza's eye, she looked like she had a onion underneath her eyelid. It was just massive, right? Just hematoma. It was crazy. But Esparza, that's 4 wins in a row, 4 decisions. The last 2 fights were split decisions. So she's getting by razor thin with these victories, right? Well, at least the last 2. She needs to win a few more I feel like, even to be in the talks of a title fight. But they're going to put her against somebody that is going to be higher up in the division, and then we'll see how she does against them. But to be honest with you, with the performance that she's had in the last couple of fights, I don't really see her beating any of the top 5 fighters. What do you think, Chris?
No, I don't see it. I think if she was going to fight anyone in the top 5, probably be Nina. I think we're probably the only one, Nina Ansaroff. I mean, if they really want to give her someone hard on the come up, maybe Amanda Ribas could be a good fight.
She seemed to want Claudia Gadelia, right? Not interested in Ribas, but...
So she wants the rematch.
Yeah, I think that's it. But the UFC have told her they've got no time frame for that. But is there something in these scores? They're sort of wildly different, aren't they? You've got 129-28 for Esparza, 129-28 for Rodriguez, but 130-27 for Esparza. John, it's a bit all over the place, isn't it?
Yeah, I think the whole night there was some odd scorecards. And that's it was expected, the last couple of cards on Fight Island, there was some weird judging. And even Dana White said after the first event, like, we got to fix something with these judges. And And clearly he didn't fix anything because we just had that today. I don't know what to say. We could talk about judging every fight or every show. Every show, there's something with the judging, going on, and it's a flawed system. You know what I mean? Like we have to fix how they judge the fights, and they have to be educated on the judging. It's not about like who's judging. You know what I mean? Because you could always educate the people judging the fights, right? So educate them. That's the commission's job, and it looks like it should be the UFC's job now if they want better judging at their events.
Okay, what about Paul Craig? I'm trying to bring up the submission on screen here, but very impressive win over our guy whose name we could not pronounce on the preview. John, have any of us figured it out? I want to have another stab at it. Gadzimurad and Gulov. Submission triangle choke in the first round. Pretty impressive stuff, wasn't it, from the wonderfully named Bear Jew out of Scotland?
Yeah, Chris was right in the previous show, like exactly what was going to happen. But man, when he pulled guard or just kind of gave the takedown to Gulov, and he was just laying on his back, man, he took some hard punches while he was trying to lock up that triangle choke. I was scared, I was like, man, those are some solid punches. I was thinking like he was knocked out already, but he survived and locked in that triangle. And man, that guy, he's a submission artist. You got to say it. You got to give it to him. He's a submission artist. He knows how to submit guys and lure them into a false sense of security. And then he locks in some choke or some arm lock, and it's over. Chris, did it play out exactly like how you thought it would?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, this is Paul Craig. This is what he does. He does have some stand-up game, as he said afterwards. He still is working on it. But, I mean, on the ground, he's absolutely fantastic. And, I mean, if he gets an opportunity... if you like the ground game, him versus Verdun would be a fantastic matchup. It'd practically just be a little bit of jiu-jitsu with the odd hit on the floor. So a fantastic performance by the Bear Jew. And I see him going on and upwards and challenging higher up the division, because pretty much almost anyone in that division he takes down to the ground, I really do fancy him to get the submission.
All right, let's keep going then, guys. Alex Oliveira against Peter Sabata, a unanimous decision for the Cowboy. John, not the best fight on the card, was it?
No, not really, but it played out like I'd expected. I'd expected Cowboy Oliveira to do what he does. He used those teeps to the stomach really well, and actually I hurt Peter Sabata a couple times, and I believe he broke his arm. Peter Sabata broke his arm. I saw a picture on social media of him sitting in his hotel room with his arm in a cast already, and just it was,
let me try and
Oliveira try to find that. But Oliveira, he did a great job. He it almost seemed like he was fighting to win instead of fighting to finish. But sometimes you have to do that, and that's what Cowboy Oliveira did. And I got really nothing else to say about this fight. He worked him. The game plan was executed perfectly. It was very disappointing. Like Peter Sabata, he couldn't get anything going really with his game plan. Yeah, I don't know what to say about Peter Sabata. I feel like he said that he was going to retire after this fight, but I don't know if he said anything in his post fight. We'll see what happens.
I'm just trying to bring up the scores here. One sec, Chris. Yeah, did you differ from John's analysis?
The only thing is
this one.
I mean, Alex Oliveira is an odd character. Not particularly my favourite fighter, and has a bit of a reputation for being dirty. And he really didn't do himself much help tonight. He had a low blow and an eye poke. Never really got a point taken away. And I think if you do one eye poke and one groin shot, she'll probably have a point taken away. And just an odd fight. I don't really like the groin shots and then eye pokes. I think it stops the fight, it slows it down. And I don't think either fighter really offered anything out of amazing or anything that made me stood up and made me think. I mean, Alex Oliveira now, he wins one, loses one, wins two, loses two, and he's just a gatekeeper, and just I don't see him moving up in the world, really.
Well, the opener of the main card was much more exciting, I thought. Khamzat Chimaev absolutely mauling Rhys McKee. Second win in 10 days. Second win in the UFC. What more can we say about this guy? He's a terrifying problem, isn't he, John, in the welterweight division?
I don't know if he beat two guys, right, that are not really in the top of the division or even in the middle of the division. They're guys that are either debuting in the UFC or guys that have been labeled a gatekeeper. You know, I don't want to jump on the hype train so quickly. He seems like he's powerful. You know, you got Gustafsson backing him, and he's had two solid performances. But I want to see him fight somebody that is, you know, at least mid-tier. You know, someone that has like 5 fights in the UFC and has some decent wins. And if he can get past someone like that, maul them and finish them like that, then I'll, you know, give him a little bit more credit. But right now, he's labeled as anybody else. You know what I mean? They're trying to kind of, it's weird how they're building him up, you know, like they're really pumping him up. The UFC is. I wonder why they're doing that. You know, they don't do that with like everybody.
Record for the quickest turnaround victory, 10 days. Chris, are you on the hype train, or do you think John's being a little bit harsh? Is John too hard to please?
I'd go somewhere down the middle. I think he obviously is very talented, very skilled, but let's not build him up too fast. Let's not give him anyone ranked yet. But it sounds as if he's all ready to go and fight again on August 15th, which will be absolutely phenomenal to have 3 fights within a month. So if he does go and do that, it would be amazing. I just thought... I actually felt really sorry for Rhys McKee as well, because if you look at his cage warriors, most of his career he's fought at lightweight, and they put him up to welterweight to fight a guy who was a middleweight last week, and within 3 seconds he had him up by one leg, took him to where he wanted to take him, and that was pretty much the fight over and done with. I mean,
yeah, I think it was 57 strikes to 0. Last weekend was 100 and something to 2. Rhys McKee didn't even get one shot in this. As you were saying, this doesn't say anything bad about Rhys McKee, I think, right? He's still got a future in the UFC.
I think they've got to give him a second fight. I think it would be very, very unfair for them to cut him after putting him up at welterweight and giving him such a killer on his debut. I mean, if his only UFC experience is 3 minutes, I feel very, very unlucky for him. Chimaev has all the way to go, but I just want everyone to put the pressure on him. Let's build him up slowly. Do you know what I mean? I think... don't fight too often as well. There's no point to put your body through too much pain.
Well, he clearly wants to fight again and again and again. I'm trying to bring up his quotes. I wrote the article. Here we go. I'll bring it on screen. I think he wants to fight in August, but I think the logistics of that are impossible because of the travel ban in the US. But what did he say here in his interview? He said, I can fight in 1 hour maybe. If someone's injured, just tell me. I'm here in Abu Dhabi and I smash everybody. It doesn't matter how many fighters in my division, I'm going to smash all of this division. I want to fight today also. Everybody knows this guy's not my level. He goes on to say he wants not just one belt, he wants middleweight and welterweight. I thought it was interesting. They asked Rob Whittaker in the press conference after, and he said, I hope he stays at welterweight. He doesn't want to deal with him. You guys clearly not too convinced? Or, do you think he is a future champion? John, we'll start with you.
I can't say he's not a future champion because we're not in the future.
Yeah.
But a lot of the guys that come in and say that they're going to be a double champion, they end up not even being a 1 division champion. So, you know, I guess he's just trying to play the role, you know, and work up the hype while he has all the attention on him and all the lights and everything. And I understand that. I would do the same thing if I was a fighter. You know, I would try to get the headlines in every major sports page or whatever, and bring attention to myself. He also, I believe he said that he wanted to fight Cowboy Cerrone and he would smash him. But that's pretty funny though. You know, you call out somebody and then you say, you know that you're going to smash him. Then why would you want to fight him? You know what I mean?
Well, I think that's a big scalp, isn't it? It's a big name. Yeah, it gets him higher up.
It's a big name and a very good stylistic matchup for him, right? and that's clear as
Well,
day.
who do you see him fighting next? What's the good fight? I mean, I was talking to my colleague Matt Scott, and we were thinking if they do go to someone ranked, maybe Demian Maia or Dos Anjos would be good matchup.
Yeah, if they're ranked, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
But man, that's a big jump right there.
Yeah.
Damian Maia.
If I was going for ranked, I'd go for probably a Pettis, Lawler, Vincente Luque. I think Damian Maia is such an odd fighter because he is a question that every welterweight has to come across because his style is so different. And I think that's a big issue is giving him a Damian Maia. I'd probably say Damian Maia and upwards is probably where he shouldn't be going. Probably even RDA. And I'd probably go for a Lawler, Pettis, Vincente Luque, and then from there look to break into the top 10. I mean, you do go through those weight rankings. I mean, okay, there's an Usman, there's a Masvidal, maybe Maia, Colby Covington, but there's not many names out there I wouldn't fancy him against, or I don't think he has a fighting chance against.
All right, well, let's have a look at these prelims. But, guys, there's only one place to start, really, on those prelims, isn't it? That main event, Francisco Trinaldo got a TKO in the third round against Jay Herbert. But that's not the whole story, is it, guys? Dan Hardy went absolutely ballistic on commentary at referee Herb Dean. I'm going to try and bring up the footage here, but basically, yeah, Trinaldo caught Herbert with a huge overhand, and then Herbert just went down and he was lying on his back. Trinaldo was looking to Dean, asking him, to call the fight. Dean was not having it and seemed to encourage Trinaldo to go in and get a few more shots off. And Dan Hardy, who's obviously going to be pretty close with his fellow Englishman, the Black Country Banger, as he's nicknamed, he was just screaming, stop the fight, and then he had an argument with Dean afterwards. Here's a picture of it. Told him, do your job. Chris, what did you make of the whole incident?
Yeah, I think it looked very, very ugly. And I mean, sometimes, okay, we all understand that sometimes a few hits go in. We can tell Trinaldo didn't actually want to hit him right there. He wanted Herb to call it off. He hesitated because he was looking at Herb to call it. He didn't want to hit him. He didn't want to do that. But then he was actually forced in that position because obviously he wants to win the fight. He wants to get that win bonus. Maybe get a performance of the night bonus. You never know. And I feel sorry for both sides because he actually potentially, with this knockout, maybe did lose a performance of the night bonus. There is a possibility because the whole fight has been overshadowed by this one incident. And Herb Dean is one of the best refs out there. And I have a lot of respect for him. He's done some good fights, but I actually think this was really poor. And the question really is one, he could obviously see it, but the question is what made him hesitate for so long? Was it 4 extra shots he got in when he was already down on the ground? So it does make you think, what was going on in Herb Dean's head? I mean, maybe Herb, as a top-level referee, is past it. Maybe it is this point now where maybe he should stop being a referee if he's going to make such glaringly bad decisions and go into training referees.
Well, John, it was a surprisingly bad decision from him. Was it out of character for me? Herb is one of the best, and I think they said that in the post-fight presser. We had, what's his name? Bring it up now. The UFC official who gave the press conference, UFC Senior Vice President of International Content, David Shaw, he said, being a ref in MMA is one of the hardest roles you can have. Herb Dean is one of our best, but health and safety is of paramount importance. And then he said, they're going to look into it because on the bottom line is, he says, bottom line, there's only one group of people that are able to talk to officials during a fight night, and that's Mark Ratner's regulatory group, and no one else. So we'll see what happens. Could be some repercussions for Dan Hardy there, but yeah, what's your take on this whole mess?
That's just like a blanket statement that they would say at every event if some referee messed up, and they're, because the UFC is basically in charge of the event. There is no commission, right? There's no Abu Dhabi commission out there that's controlling anything. The UFC is the commission wherever they go to another country that doesn't have a commission. For example, Korea, when they come here, there's no commission, so the UFC runs everything that's going on with the weigh-ins, everything, officiating, all of that stuff. They fly everybody in. Referees make mistakes. know what I mean? Like everybody makes mistakes. Are you going to fire somebody for making a mistake? Probably not, right? If you had a job at an office and you made a mistake on a big project, are you going to fire them for that? And you have a reputation of being one of the best at your job. You probably wouldn't, you know what I mean? You probably wouldn't let them, you give them another chance. And in refereeing, you know, there's like you said, all the spotlight is on them. If they make a mistake, everybody's going to jump on them and tell, you know, like people are saying like he should never ref again. I don't know about that. You know what I mean? Some people have slow days, you know what I mean? Maybe his brain, he didn't have bulletproof coffee this morning. I don't know, right?
Well, I feel like the issue, this is what Dan Hardy was annoyed about, and Paul Felder, is they felt he'd already had a bad one a few fights before. I'll bring it up on screen here. Tanner Boser. Yeah. What do you think of this stoppage? Was this too late as well? Because clearly Pessoa
No, I don't think that was too late because he was covered up. Like,
but
he
signaled
I could understand it.
He signaled to Herb Dean, right? If you look here, he's pointing after he gets hit, and he's like covering his eye, saying, no, stop, you know. Is that, or am I reading this wrong?
That possibly could be true. That could probably be him saying like, no mas, but maybe he's just putting his hands up to kind of gauge wherever Tanner Boser's coming in. You know what I mean? Because his eye was jacked up. Because that's what it looked like. That knuckle dug deep into that eye and he couldn't see. Who knows? You know what I mean? But this one you could, give Herb Dean the benefit of the doubt. The second one, that was a big mistake. You know what I mean? Like that was something that you can't, argue against. But yeah, like Herb Dean, he's one of the best. People make mistakes, and this is his mistake, right? And he went in there in the main event and did a good job. You know what I mean? Yeah, like
he did.
So it's not like he just went in and screwed up a major fight.
Chris, did you like this Bosa stoppage?
To tell you the truth, this one is really, really tough because unless you're right there, you can't really hear what the other fighter's saying. I think if they heard the fighter say something like stop or he's hurt, I think if you're really hurt, you should probably go down to the ground and tap because it is maybe more obvious. I guess you can technically turn your back on an opponent, which you're not really supposed to do. I mean, look, my other issue with this is also not just with Herb Dean, but when if you were Jai Herbert's corner and you saw him pretty much, he was out. I have a flash knockdown, but he was out. And you saw that Herb wasn't stopping it. I mean, if there was ever a perfect time for a corner in MMA to throw in the towel, it was probably that moment. I'd love if they would have had a camera on the team to see if anyone was reaching for a towel, because that's it. So, I mean, to show you sometimes the problem can be something else as well. I don't want all the blame to go on to Herb because, I mean, look, every year he does hundreds of fights, maybe close to 1,000. And if you look at it, the amount of mistakes he makes one or two a year. But when you put that into percentage terms, he's right 99.6% of the time. It's just when you are on this grand stage of the UFC, it is obviously magnified. And also we do have to remember that KSW, M1, Herb has gone and officiated in organizations all over the world. So, I mean, he must be doing something right. It was either an off night, but for sure the commission should, not the commission, but the UFC should look into it, and should probably be a report into it, because I would just like to see his reasoning. And if he has a valid excuse, which I don't think he does, but I think he should probably come out with an apology. And I do feel sorry for Jai Herbert.
Oh, but like he could write an essay, explaining his discretions. I don't know, but come on, Chris, you explained it really well. It's like he officiates probably more fights than any other referee in the game, and he makes like a handful of mistakes a year.
Yeah,
there's nobody really out there that does that. You know what I mean? That's like unheard of. The percentage of like how much good refereeing he does. So, dump on Herb Dean while you can. That's what I say. Because you're not gonna be able to do it most of the time. So it's not like Herb Dean's gonna go anywhere, man. He's gonna be reffing when he has gray hair. I guarantee it. He's gonna have gray dreads. Yeah.
Can I also throw this into my Brit watch with Jai Herbert losing, and it's just seems really, really odd that we have. I think from every weight, from lightweight up, we've had a champion from Cage Warriors go over and fight. We've had half of them win, half of them lose. So I don't know what's going to go on for Cage Warriors when they come back and all their champions have left and signed with the UFC. It might be a Grand Prix season to find new champions. Who knows? But yeah, if anyone wants the official scorecard, and it was very sad going into the Till Whittaker fight, the UK had 8 wins and had lost 9, but we finished the night 8-10 over Fight Island, over 18 fighters.
That's not
So
bad,
sad.
man. That's not bad.
Yeah.
You know,
Not bad,
look at the half glass full. Half glass full. You know, we gotta look at it like that. The Brits did great, man. I thought that, you know, like the Cage Warriors, if they're gonna have tournaments, man, that's just more eyes on Cage Warriors now, because you're gonna see the next crop of contenders come up and get that belt and then go to the UFC. You know, it's the cycle. It's the cycle of life over there.
Like Jai Herbert, Reese McKee, who quite haven't done it in their fights. But then we've had Bukakas, who's come over and looked good, and Lerone Murphy.
Brett
Jack
Jones,
Shore did well.
Nathaniel Wood fought earlier.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So it's been a really mixed bag. And the thing is, of a lot of those that won, there's quite a fair few of them who I think could actually go quite far and fight for titles. So while the UK didn't quite get the 500 I predicted, they did come close.
Earlier in the night, another Cage Warriors champion or former champion, Panny Kienza. Did you see that at the end of the second round, they put the 10-second clapper on and Betch Carrera stopped fighting? What did you think of that, Chris? Did you see that?
Yeah, I mean, we saw this on the Woodley Barnes card, didn't we? Was it the Woodley Barnes card? Yeah, we had someone walk away because they thought they had won. And it just seems really, really odd.
Crazy dude with the ginger.
Was it not Violent Bob Ross, was it?
No.
Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Billy Corantillo.
Yeah.
The ginger, alpha ginger.
Alpha ginger.
The alpha ginger, exactly. You're right. It did happen right there. And it was very similar to that.
What the question that this gives to me is, in all honesty, right? If this is your job, shouldn't you know that the clapper is the 10 seconds and not the end of the round? Isn't that like something you drill and something you learn from all your other fights? I don't know. It doesn't get me, because there's not many other sports where you get people like you don't see in a football match half the team walking off 5 minutes early. So it is a bit strange and just seems really, really odd that it's happened in such a small space of time. It's happened twice. And I feel sorry for both the fighters that have done it, because it must be quite embarrassing.
Yeah, look at
Betch
that.
Carrera, she's lucky that Panny Kienza doesn't have that one-punch knockout power.
Yeah,
because if she did, the fight would have been over right there. She landed like 3 clean shots right there on Betch, and just lucky for her, she could take those shots. But what about Panny Kienza? What do you think about her? Does she look better? You know what I mean? Did you feel like she had a great performance against Betch, or is Betch just, you know, past the prime and she's just kind of hanging on, you know, in the division?
I think it's really hard, and I think it's a little bit of a combination of both. I think it's a little bit of having a really, really good performance, and I think it's a little bit of Betch regressing and going backwards.
Well, there wasn't too much else, I think, guys, on the prelims. I'll bring it up on screen. I guess, Chris, you want to talk about our guy, Tom Aspinall. Crazy knockout. But I think, as we were saying, Jake Collier didn't look like he was in the best of shape, did he?
No, it was a good knockout, a good first debut in the UFC. Put himself out there. Obviously, he's a top striker. I'm seeing all his tweets and him on the phone, calling his family, really happy with his win, crying with his 50k bonus. So it is really good to see, and it was a really dominant win. And he just battered them from start to finish. But he did fight a man who is massively out of shape. And I mean, Jake Collier, I believe, what did he come in at? 260? Did he? He just came in just under. He came in at about 260. So it wasn't like he was coming at 235, 240. Like he came as pretty much as heavy as you possibly can. And he's got a gut. He's not fit. And I don't know with his time off and whatnot, but I think he needs to get on the bike and get out running. And if he actually wants to take this seriously and fight in the UFC, I mean, he probably should get down to middleweight or at least light heavyweight. But I mean, look, if Dana White wants to save some money and not have people fight for money, he could get a big bucket of donuts and have Collier versus Gian Vellante.
Looked like they just picked him up off the beach or something here.
Yeah, him and Gian Vellante, man.
He was fighting at middleweight, and that's 185. That's like almost 80 pounds he gained, and it was just all in his like stomach, basically, right, and his neck. It's very confusing why he came back at heavyweight, and they said in the broadcast that he had some major surgery. And that's why he had the weight gain. But it's like, why wouldn't you recover from the surgery, lose the weight, and come back, as your top physical form? It's very confusing. I think he could have been kind of forced to take this fight, to be honest with you, by the UFC. I don't know. I'm just speculating, but it is very odd, the situations around this fight. But Tom, he looked great. And I think that this is kind of like a best situation for him is he makes a UFC debut. He fights somebody, knocks him out in the first round. His confidence is through the roof now. All that doubt that probably goes through fighters head before their UFC debut, it's all gone. Now he could actually go out there comfortably and fight somebody that actually is a heavyweight and perform very well. I'm gonna keep my eye on Tom Aspinall. I think that he's gonna do really well as a prospect coming up. Got serious power and got quick hands, and he can move really well as a heavyweight. What about Evloev versus Grundy? That first round was pretty awesome round, man. Like Evloev, like he was in some deep trouble in that first round. Grundy, he told me when I talked to him that he was looking for the neck. And man, in that first round, he took him down and he almost had that submission. Did you see the over the cage camera view? Yeah. Evloev's face was grimacing, like he barely got out of that choke. But after that, it seemed like Grundy kind of gassed himself out. You know what I mean? And Evloev, he has a gas tank like no other. It's like Peter Yan, but just at featherweight. And he just kept going and going and going and won this fight. But big props to Grundy though. He stuck in there. He didn't get finished or wasn't in too much trouble, but he got punched a lot on the feet.
Oh, and those second and third rounds were so one-sided. Even I think he outstruck him by about 35 in the second. I mean, if you look really, Evloev was probably a knockdown away from a 10-8 in the second round from Grundy. I mean, third page of Grundy though, because particularly the second and third, he got absolutely destroyed. Currently with Evloev's skills, but he did power on and power through and show some real determination and heart and grit. And Evloev looks like a very exciting prospect.
All right, well, maybe that's all we have time for. Any other results on the prelims you want to give us a bit of spotlight to, guys? John, anything you saw?
Tanner Boser, man, he came back on short notice and he broke the curse. Him and what's his name, Chimaev or whatever, they both broke the curse, right? And Nathaniel Wood, he got back in the win column after losing to John Dodson, and he's a nice he's a pretty decent bantamweight prospect in that division. He should get a pretty big fight in this next one. Other than that, I mean, like, it was a good end, I guess, a decent end to Fight Island for this month. But did they say anything, Nick, about the next Fight Island events?
No, they just said they're going to have 9 events in August, including Dana White's Contender Series, and then a bunch more in September. But we don't even know if those are going to go ahead because they may put they may put Las Vegas on lockdown. So maybe it's back to Fight Island next week. Who knows? I wouldn't put it past the UFC to get it done if they had to, right, Chris?
Yeah, I would not put it past them. It's been fantastic, the whole Fight Island. I was a skeptic going in. It's been fantastic. I prefer it much more than the small cage over at the Apex. Really, really good fights, really fun. Actually, over the whole Fight Island, I've enjoyed all the cards. I think they've been great, stacked, full of Brits. And actually, probably this card probably comes out second to 251 to me. Actually, it's probably better than the two cards last week. And yeah, I think this one in particular has raised so many questions because, you know, the people who've won have got big wins, while the people who have lost have kind of really lost, and we'll see relative falls down the rankings. I mean, heart goes out to Gustafsson. I'm delighted for the Doom, delighted to Whittaker, and very disappointed for my Liverpool boy, Darren Till.
John, yeah, what's your overall rating of Fight Island? What was your favorite card? What worked, what didn't?
I don't even have a favorite card. It just seems like one big blur, like one long fight fest. That's what it seemed like.
Four in 2 weeks or 3 weeks.
Yeah, it's just like back to back to back to back continuous fights, and there were some great fights, and it was just what MMA is. It's the definition of MMA. It's the definition of competition. There was a lot of controversy, but there was a lot of big wins. There was a lot of guys that, not a lot, but a few guys that became champions on Fight Island, which is pretty insane, right? Like Peter Yan, for example, he can go and tell everybody he became a champion on Fight Island, and this can never happen again. And also, there was no crowd, there was nobody there, you know, like he was celebrating, but there was no cheers, right? Like the experience must have been surreal for him, and even like for Usman and who was the other champ that
Figueiredo, I think we've got to give props to him. We've seen a couple
props
of
to Figueiredo,
beasts.
you know,
they've
like
been born. You've got Chimaev, Figueiredo, Peter Yan. I think a lot of people are going to know who these people are now. Yeah,
it's like Figueiredo is just like, there's a lot of contenders coming up in that division. That's going to be exciting. Peter Yan, exciting. There's a lot of new stars that were born out of Fight Island, and I feel like more eyes were on them because of this Fight Island concept, because there was no other sports going on, so a lot more people were watching these fights, and it grabs the attention of people that probably are more casuals, and they only wanted to watch Jorge Masvidal, but they came for Jorge Masvidal and left with Peter Yan and Figueiredo and all those other names and other champions. It was fun to watch, and you know, it doesn't really, to me, seem any different from any other UFCs, to be honest with you, because I'm watching it from home. So it just seems like a normal year, normal month of UFC fights for me. One big blur, and my memory's not that good, so you know, I'll forget about this in 3 months, and I'll be like, oh, that was on Fight Island? I don't remember.
Yeah, well, let's see if the UFC get their show on August 2 in Las Vegas. It's already been hit by the main event being cancelled. Holly Holm, that fight is no longer on, but we do have the return of one championship, don't we, as well, on Friday,
Yes.
July 31st in Bangkok. No surrender, so maybe, guys, we can get together and recap that or preview it, whatever. But anyway,
do they have Bone Thugs and Harmony performing?
But why?
No surrender.
Oh, is that No Surrender?
You know?
Okay, went over my head.
Bone Thugs and Harmony.
Is that a popular song? Okay.
Maybe you guys are too young for that. I don't know. Were you guys? How old were you guys when Bone Thugs and Harmony was out?
Maybe. I know. Yeah. I just haven't heard that song.
Maybe you were like elementary school or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Well,
it's all good.
On that note, let's sign off, guys. Thanks, John. Thanks, Chris, as always, for recapping. Excellent analysis, guys. I hope everyone enjoyed watching this show, and we'll see you all again next time. Thank you.
Hey guys, Sasha Platnikoff here, letting you know to tune in to SCMP Post Fight for all your weekly martial arts news.